Recording.
Okay. Call to order the Lowell City Special Council meeting for January 5th at 7 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett,
Here.
Councilor Harris,
Here.
Councilor Stratus,
Present.
Councilor Drott,
Here.
Councilor Myers.
Here.
Okay. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
Stands one nation under God,
stands,
with
with liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
First thing we have is the approval of the agenda. Anybody have anything they want to add, subtract, or change, update? Okay. Not hearing it. I don't have a video or pictures in front of me or people's faces in front of me. So tonight, whenever we're going through these things, if I'm talking, feel free to interrupt me and I'll know when to stop. Okay, the next item of business will be the swearing in of the newly elected councilors. We can just go in order. We can have Gail Harris first. Mr. Cottle.
City Councilors, good evening and congratulations on your re-election. I'm excited to be with you tonight for my first City Council meeting, and I will go ahead and proceed with the swearing in. Councilor Harris, if you could raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Gail Harris,
I, Gail Harris,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the city of Lowell, Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the city of Lowell, Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of the office of City Council for the city of Lowell, Oregon,
the duties and
the duties of the office of City Council for the city of Lowell, Oregon,
the duties of the office of City Council for the city of Lowell, Oregon,
according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next up is John Myers, and that's on page 4 of the packet if you don't already have it. Mr. Cottle, please.
Councilor Myers, if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, John Myers,
I, John Myers,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the city of Lowell, Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the city of Lowell, Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of the office of City Council for the city of Lowell, Oregon,
of the office of City Council for the city of Lowell, Oregon,
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Next is Samantha Drutt, and that's on page 5. Mr. Butler?
Counselor Drott, if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Samantha Drott,
I, Samantha Drott,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the City of Lowell, Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the City of Lowell, Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of City Council for the City of Lowell, Oregon,
discharge the duties of the office of City Council for the City of Lowell, Oregon,
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Good. Next, Tim, on page 6. Tim Stratus.
Counselor Stratus, thank you for raising your right hand. If you could please repeat after me. I, Tim Stratus,
I, Tim Stratus,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the City of Lowell, Oregon,
the ordinances and the resolutions of the City of Lowell, Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of City Council for the City of Lowell, Oregon,
discharge the duties and responsibilities of the position of City Council for the City of Lowell, Oregon,
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Okay, we now have a sworn in bona fide council.
Hey,
Next
hey,
is-
Don,
Yes,
we kind of jumped over the new item agenda, so the new items thing. I didn't get a chance to speak up. My mute was not working.
okay, go ahead.
I wanted to bring up a topic tonight, and you guys may have some visibility on it. And it's just broaching the subject tonight. We got 360 days or so to go till we have to deal with it. But there was some, and I think Marsh is aware of it, and I think Max is aware of it, but there was some hubbub around decorations in the park during the holiday season. And there was some, some conversation, discussion on Facebook and social media regarding the issue. And I brought up that I would mention that there, might be a possibility the city council could look at these kind of issues and possibly do some investigation into, either addressing this issue through one of our committees, through some volunteer activities, and just some general discussion around possibly some more decorations around the city. I think we've kind of, balanced out. We decorate down at the bridge and stuff and do a wonderful job down there. But I think the community felt a little down this year. In the past, we've had, different displays on Moss Street on the telephone poles. I think those things have kind of aged out, would be my guess, is what's happened with those that we used to put on the telephone poles, power poles along Moss Street. And, there might be some stuff that needs to be figured out logistically, but I did tell some of the citizens of the community that I would bring this before the city council and at least broach the subject, and told them, hey, this may require volunteering, it may require donations, it might require some time, but I just wanted to bring that up to the city council tonight, that I would like to have that discussion. And we've got plenty of time to do it, but if we want to do it right, there's no time like the present to start the ball rolling. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep down that rabbit hole tonight, but I just, wanted to comply with the discussion I had with the city, community members, that I would bring that before the council and start that discussion.
We can add that as as the other business when we get to that part.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Would you like to include that as part of the work session?
We can include it wherever it fits in well, Marcia. I don't want to, cause undue time constraints to things or whatever. I want to make sure it fits in, and I want to make sure it's a functional thing and works for everybody. And
Okay, let's put it in the work session because we're not going to be making any motions or anything associated with it tonight anyway. And
Okay.
it's going to take the same amount of time, whether it's in for tonight, whether it's in the regular or work session, but that seems to make more sense to have it down there, to have an open discussion, if that's where we're going to go with that. That sounds fair.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Next up is the selection of mayor. And I have to say I'm honored and proud to serve, and I would, if nominated, I would enjoy serving again. So the floor is open for nominations for anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to nominate Don Bennett. I think he's done a great job and like to see him carry on.
I'd like to
Yep.
second that.
Okay. We do have a motion and a second. Any thoughts, discussions? Not hearing any. All those in favor of Don Bennett as mayor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? That's good to hear. Next up will be council president.
I'd like to nominate Gail Harris as the council president.
Oh, I'll second that. Absolutely. She's retired now. She's got all the time in the world.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for council president as Gail Harris. Any thoughts, discussion, questions? Not hearing those. All those in favor of Gail Harris for council president signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Public, would the public like to speak?
The public, no, would not like to speak.
Okay. Any council comments? The only thing I'd like to say, I'd like to say thank you. And also, I didn't do it at the top end of my page. I went right over it, but to welcome both Mr. Cottle and Leslie to our state, our city, our county, and glad to have you here.
I am thrilled to be here.
Okay. First item of business is the guiding principles. And I had where is it? I asked Marcia and Mr. Collins to let me go through this. A lot of the council tonight, the meeting tonight, I'll be doing a lot of talking, which is not abnormal. But something that we did 2 or 3 years ago is that we developed, or about 6 years ago, was we developed the guiding principles. And what it did, it set down a kind of a guideline, how the council was going to act, how between themselves, how we're going to act with the staff, all the city employees, and within the community. And I think it's just good to go over it. And it takes a little bit of time, but I'd like to go over it and I just read it through, and because I think it's good to make sure everybody's on the same page for this. For our guiding principles, and an effort to be effective council, an effective city council that represents and conducts the city business to the highest level of excellence, we, the city, Lowell City Council, do hereby submit to live by a set of guiding principles. These principles are not used as grounds for censor, but are created to help us respect each other, work in an open and transparent fashion, and include and seek the views of our entire community. These principles will be used by the current council. Future councils will review, update, and confirm during the first regular meeting of each year. Staff will be made aware of these guiding principles for use in their daily activities. First, we have respect. We commit individually and collectively to respect the opinions, abilities, and perspectives of our colleagues, city staff, partners, and the public. We'll be a model of respectful behavior that brings honor to the city of Lowell. Transparency, we will conduct our work for the community in a manner that is open and inclusive. Unless prevented by Oregon law, we will deliberate and make decisions in full view of the community. Inclusion and promotion of meaningful public participation. Regardless of the size of an issue, we value inclusion and will make all reasonable efforts to include others and listen to and respect their contributions. We value the opinions of all stakeholders. We will reach out to stakeholders that have not been involved in the past. Integrity and personal conduct. We will hold ourselves to the highest standards of ethical behavior as a council and as individuals. At all times, we will model our behavior that sets a positive example for the community. We will work to benefit the community stakeholders, respecting both the views of the majority and the minority. At all times, we will act in an honest and truthful manner. Collaboration and no surprises. We recognize the community improvement requires partnerships with organizations beyond City Hall. We will work in a collaborative manner with partners cooperatively, professionally, and objectively to achieve community improvements. We will avoid creating major surprises in process or substance to our colleagues, staff, partners, and community by using agreed upon promise or processes to raise proposals and concerns to the full council. Fairness. Decisions were made objectively and with the best interest of the community stakeholders as the primary objective. Teamwork and accountability. We will work to ensure that each council action has a clearly discernible rationale and positive impact on the community. We will operate in an efficient manner and consistent with our guiding principles by being on time, well prepared, being fully engaged, and fulfilling our commitments. Decisions made by the council will be respected by all members of the council, but the views of the minority will always be heard, respected, and considered, and where needed or possible, included in the council records. Members will work to resolve any personal conflicts that arise. Collective wisdom. We recognize that each member brings a unique set of talents and life experiences. In our work, we will value the thoughts and perspectives of each member. We will ensure each member has equal opportunity to share his or her abilities and perspective to inform and enhance our decision-making. Confidentiality. We will adhere to the laws regarding the confidentiality of non-public information. These aren't major points to be dwelled upon for this council. I think this is an excellent council, but whenever these were devised, there was a reason for it, and it made an immediate improvement in how the council behaved to each other, to the city staff, and everybody else. And it's good to renew this and look at it just to remind us we don't want to go backwards. We enjoy where we are right now. With that, I make a motion to approve Resolution 757. Do I have a second?
I
I'll
will second it, Don.
We have
I
a
had to get
motion.
it off mute.
We have a motion and a second for Resolution 757, a resolution adopting guiding principles for the city council. Okay. We have any discussion, questions, or thoughts? Not hearing those. All those in favor of Resolution 757, a resolution adopting guiding principles for the city council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Okay. Next up is committee appointments. Ms. Miller, Mr. Cottle, do you want to speak to this? We have, is it Prim and Morrissey?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bennett and Mayor and members of council. At your last meeting, you approved several committee appointments, and we actually received 2 applications that were too late to put into that packet. So the applications before you are for Robert Kren for the library committee and Tony Moretti for Morrissey, sorry, say it again. Yeah, make sure I got it right.
Morrissey.
Morrissey.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony Morrissey to the Parks and Recreation Committee And Tony also agreed to be on the Blackberry Jam Festival Committee, which actually fills one of our vacant seats on that committee. So these are before you today for your approval.
Any questions, discussion? I think, should these motions be made individually or?
Yes, it
Okay.
should be.
We should make these motions individually. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Robert, whatever, Penham, Priam, to the library committee.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Roger Prim to the library committee. Do we have any discussion, questions, thoughts? Not hearing any. All those in favor of motion to approve the appointment of Roger Prim to the library committee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a second nominee there. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Tony Marici to the Parks and Recreation Committee and the Blackberry Jam Festival Committee.
I'll second it. Ha, beat you, Sam.
Okay.
Which one got that?
John.
there.
John.
John, okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Tony Morrissey and to the Parks, Recreation, and to the Blackberry Jam Festival Committee. Any discussion, thoughts, questions? All those in favor of motion to approve Tony Morrissey to the Parks and Recreation Committee and to the Blackberry Jam Committee, so signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Not hearing any. It sounds like we already have something for the Parks and Rec that we will be discussing later. Next up is the resolution of authorizing a change of signatories for the city of Lowell.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett and council. With the hiring of Jeremy Cottle as the new city administrator, the general bank account signature cards need to be updated. And authorized signers will include the 5 members of the council and the city administrator. So this is a resolution that achieves that.
Okay. We have to go to Pleasant Hill to sign those?
Yes.
Okay, that's just like last time.
They have to be signed again every time.
Every time they change people.
Mm.
So in that case, Jeremy can't ever leave and you guys can't ever leave office, so.
There you have it.
It's like an easy plan.
With that, I make a motion to approve resolution 758 as written.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion, thoughts, or anything, questions? Okay, all those in favor of a motion to approve resolution 758 as written, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so when's the card gonna be down there? You have the idea? Or-
I don't,
Okay.
Joyce will let you know
I have-
as soon as she talks to the bank and they get everything set up.
They'll have to get a new card out, so when she does, we'll let you know. Okay. That takes care of that part. Next up is item 4, amendment to agreement for improvements with Cortland Manufacturing. Ms. Miller?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bennett and council. The development code requires that parking areas and approaches be approved at the time of occupancy. And when Cortland Manufacturing was built, they were given a deferment on their pavement agreement. That pavement agreement, the paving was supposed to be done by the end of December. So I contacted them and asked them if they needed an extension because we could do an amendment to that agreement for whatever time they needed. And they assured me that they did need an extension, but just until the end of January. So this is an amendment to that original agreement that gives them to the end of January to complete that pavement work.
I take it that works is up on their property? It's not on the main street, right?
No, it's on their property.
On their property, okay.
And they were tying, they were trying to tie it to the paving that's happening on the McDougal property.
Right.
And, you know, as these things go in construction, things get delayed. So this is just really to make sure that we're still legal. Tim?
I'd like to ask that we actually make this, extend this to the end of February. People can want the best they want, but asphalting and that kind of work is actually very constrained by weather and obviously other issues as well. But I just like to give them a good window to get this done in a reasonable window without having to bring it back to us again if we come out with a snowstorm or a freeze, heavy rain. Any of those things can affect a paving project, as well as availability of contractors, and all those things are outside of Cortland's control. They've done a really nice job of putting facility up there. We should be happy to get any commercial operations within the city of Lowell. Just make it as smooth and as easy as possible, and not have to bring it back to us again if something out of their control comes up.
Yeah, because McDougal's whole program could do that if they're working with them. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
We can adjust it, and if you approve it tonight, I'll just adjust it and the mayor can sign it with a new date on it.
Okay, then I'll make the motion to approve the amendment to the agreement for improvements with the Cortland Manufacturing of June 24th with the new extension date of February 28th.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor of motion to approve the amendment to the agreement for improvements with Cortland Manufacturing of June 24th to an extension of completion to February 25th, 28th, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we're cooking. Fine. Okay, hold on. Next up is other business. We don't have any. We're saving Parks and Recreation stuff for later. Mayor comments. Couple things. Thank you, Marcia, for a job extremely well done. We didn't skip a beat. In fact, I think we may have gotten a little better under you. So it's just really nice to have had you here. You brought in Jeremy for us. We couldn't be more pleased.
Well,
And the other thing is that I don't know if all of you know, but some of you know that I send out summary sheets, summary emails to a number of people in town. And talking to, I advised Mr. Cottle of that, and he offered that possibility that I'd make that presentation available to him for posting on the city webpage. So what I'll be doing is I'll be writing it up, sending it to him so that he can post. I won't be posting anything on there. If he finds something that he doesn't like, he has my permission to cross it off. Or if he wants to make it better, he can do that too. But just to let you know, I think some of you may have well seen my letters in the past, but now they'll be coming by a different route. And if you had never received them, they're very vanilla. I don't take a side. I just tell what we did and some of the background of what we did. I don't go through every single thing. I cover what I think is important in my mind only, and kind of help fill in some of the spaces, because the bridge comes out with the total kind of agenda. We approve this, we approve that, but I sometimes think that there's a reason, try to explain why we're doing something, or even just an overall greater understanding of what we're here, what we're doing. So anyway, I'll try not to be too wordy, which is hard, but I will submit it to him, and he can post it as he sees correct. Okay. Any community comments at this point?
No, sir.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay. Do we have anything else from anybody? If not, we're adjourned at 7:29. You want to stop the recording or go right on into the next one?
do we not record the work session?
Yeah, we do. I
I
think.
think we do.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know if you wanted to stop.
Oh,
Just-
yeah, no, we'll just let
Just
it go.
continue on. Okay.
We'll just open it back up. to the-
Okay. Next up is the work session for January 5th at 7 30. And roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett,
Here.
Counselor Harris,
Here,
Counselor Stratus,
Present.
Counselor Drott,
Here.
Counselor Myers.
Here.
Okay, I asked for these items in the work session, and whenever let me just go over what I wrote. I wanted to go over the evaluation, our strategic plan, and our objectives, so that everybody is on the same page. The objectives are updated each year, and they reflect the current thinking of each council. Tonight, I'll be asking for input from other people, from everybody, as we go through each of the objectives to see if this is what the direction the council wants to go or not. In Mr. Connell's contract, we have an evaluation coming up in 6 months. If you think about that, could be 5 work sessions and 6 regular sessions before his evaluation. And that's not much time that he's going to have to spend with us. You know, it's an hour, 2 hours for each session. And if you do that times 11, that's 20 hours. And we need to know that he and us are all on the same page. Okay. So with that, we'll look at the evaluation form. In the past, we've used an outside source to help develop our evaluations. Evaluations should be a win for the city administrator, a win for the council, and a win for the city of Lowell. Looking forward to the 6-month evaluation, I consider to be more of a progress report. Are we moving in the right direction? A year after that, the evaluation should highlight his accomplishments. Okay. I'm not going into every aspect of each of the categories. Most everyone on the council was familiar with the document. Each aspect, each line is graded individually, and each overall section receives a combined comment from the councilors. I will cover the areas I find most important and that other councilors add their comments. I don't mean to rush through this, but I don't want to dwell on it too long either. It's we should be exact, in what we are asking the city administrator to do. Okay. When you turn to the page there, you'll see it starts off on the scoring 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the first one up is the relationship with the council. And under that, the city manager should keep the council informed, offer professional advice, and engender trust among city council members, staff, and the community. This here is very important. If the council people don't know what the city administrator is doing, we can't evaluate it. So it's important that whenever he builds this city administrator report, somewhat think of this and how and what he's presenting. We need to know, you know, to evaluate. It's not something that we're checking up on him, but we just need to be able to say, yes, we know he's doing that. I think too many times, I don't know if anybody on this council's done it, but in the past, when we came to evaluate, we'd say, I really don't know, you know, and sometimes the counselors had known. Yes.
Oh, Gail has her hand up.
Yes, Gail, go ahead.
just a thought. I assume, Jeremy, you've had a chance to look these over previously.
Yes.
Good. And so I was just going to say that as we go through these, if you have any thoughts, questions, anything, you know, that you're concerned with, please speak up. And so, you know, we can have a good discussion about it for your sake.
Okay, okay.
Thanks.
And that's what I have on number A. And like Gail said, does anybody else have any thoughts, comments, or anything like that? Like I say, we just need the feedback. Okay. Not hearing any. Administration of the city plans his time. He develops a system that assures that all significant activities or duties are performed regularly or administered promptly, provides the council with a written agenda and appropriate backup material by the determined date before each council meeting. And for us, that's usually, or that's Friday afternoon. That way we have a majority of the council, they work, and so they can use their weekends or off time to do it. And for usually I come by on Wednesdays, but I can come by on Tuesday and we'll sit down, and usually the two of us, we work on building the agenda, what we need to do, some things I want to do. And usually it's more listening to, this is where I'd like to go, and I agree with you. But we have a agenda meeting on the Wednesday before the packet comes out, and I'll remind you and I'll show up. Anything else on administering of the city by anybody? I know packets are a big. Go ahead.
So I'd like to make sure that, so both Jared and Marcia have done a good job of sending out information, not only through our city email, but our personal emails. A lot of us, that's a lot better way to communicate. I have my phone with me all the time. It's hooked up to my personal email, whereas my city email is only hooked up to my Outlook on my tablet here. So it's really, for me at least, and I think for a couple other people on the council, a good way to make sure information gets disseminated is to distribute it through both our emails, personal and city email.
Yes, I did mention that to Jeremy, and actually I think added it to the contact list. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Next up is personnel.
Leadership? Did you cover that?
So we didn't do leadership. You're right. I looked at it, just didn't read it. And in fact, I had it up and it's pushed it off. Leadership understands and keeps informed regarding all aspects of city services, provides a system of measure and goals for staff departments, and exemplifies the skills and attitudes of a community leader, anticipates needs. Basic idea behind a leader. Anything? Anybody? Okay. Next up is personnel. Develops good staff morale and loyalty, provides a systematic, organized evaluation of all staff. I know in the past they've done a self-evaluation by each person, and then they set the supervisor sits down with that person, like Max would sit down with Hunter or the other fellow and go through it over, so that way. And they've done this in the past, and I'm sure that there's forms and stuff available for you to see and see if that's the way you want to carry on, if that's what you want to do. Like I say, it's your ball game, and you play it however you feel best. Anything more? Also, usually evaluations are done in January, February, with the main idea, and you may even slide it to March, with the main idea is that we want to get the evaluations done so that we can get their new salaries included in that year's upcoming budget.
Okay.
So work with Max on that, and you can look at last year's activities and see what was done. Okay. Anybody? Okay. Business and financial management plans the budget and oversees the budget. You came out of the budget world, so I think you probably understand everything there is to know about that. Anybody else on the budget? Community relations provides leadership to the community. One thing on that was that Jared was on the budget committee for the Bridge Charter Academy, and he served on, like I say, on their budget committee. And if they ask you, some of the other governmental agencies, if they ask for you to participate, I don't see anything wrong with that. You might mention to the council that you're on this committee, that committee, so that we know, so that we like to be informed, but we don't want to hold you back.
I'd like to emphasize that point right there. I know, Jeremy, that you're from a small town back in South Carolina, but this is a significantly smaller town than probably anything you've had experience with. We are a very small community. And I think community relations for everybody on this council, everybody in the city, and the city administrator is especially important. There's a core group of people that have been in this community for 5-7 generations. And I think the community relations aspect can't be stressed enough about how important it is for maintaining relations and keeping everything functioning and doing the best we can do for everything within the city.
I appreciate and respect that, and I think that's going to be one of the most enjoyable parts of this job.
It's going to be a challenge with COVID, trying to get you in
Yes.
front of a lot of people. So we're going to have to, you can consider ways of making yourself available to more people and things like that in these hard times. So I don't want anybody getting sick, but there's ways of nowadays of getting your name and face out in the public. So you can consider that. Okay. Next up is G, individual characteristic. Sound and appropriate judgment, demonstrates ethical leadership in work and community related activities. I don't see a problem with you in that. Anybody else? Job related characteristics, maintains his professional development by reading, conference attendance, works on professional committees and professional organizations. And that's within your contract to have you get additional training to keep you up to snuff and everything that we need to do. And the last one is annual objectives. It has here both strategic plan focused objectives and individual objectives. I don't expect to get individual objectives from you probably until August, whenever you've gone through after your first review, because I don't think right now that you we expected to give us individual objectives. You're going to be working on council objectives and getting control of the city and everything like that. So so that's where we are. So any questions? Any thoughts? Anything by anybody?
I just have a brief comment, if I may, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a fantastic idea that we're thinking about this right now. And I think this is going to set everybody up for success. In my opinion, the criteria that we have listed here are comprehensive. They encompass all aspects of the job. And I think this would be a fair way for you to evaluate the performance of your city administrator.
We've used a fellow that used to be here in the local area. He's now in Washington. We've used him in the past for Zoom. Is Dr. Hanlon, and Joyce knows who he is. If he's still available, we can use him. If not, we may have to improvise with somebody else. Actually, what they do is they run the meeting with us, get our input, and then after we've done all that, then I present the evaluation to you.
You're already ahead of the curve of 99% of cities out there. So.
Okay, good. Okay, that's the end of the evaluation process. The next thing up is the strategic plan. Anybody have any questions before I go on? Comments? Okay, the strategic plan was developed in 2016, and it kind of gave us an idea. Okay, what are we, where we want to go, and how we want to be, how do we want to get there? And you can read the plan, but main thing you get down to the vision, and I like that. And under that's an efficient and effective government, the highest quality public services, transparent, commitment to excellence, community development that enriches, safe and healthy environment, protection of environmental resources. And that pretty much covers what we want to do and why we're here. Our goals are under community development, facilities and infrastructure, financial management, human resources, public health, and public safety, quality of life, and responsive government. Those were the goals that were set up. And before we go on, any questions on either the mission or the goals? Okay, now here, under the goals, after that, we have objectives. And objectives are as recognized by the council. There's 15 of them. They need to be blended with the insightfulness of the city administrator and his ability and capability to perform in a timely manner. I use the 2019 strategic plan goals, objectives, versus the 220. The 220 had too many individual objectives, and they were never completed, never started because the person was there, he left. And, but they were way, I think, too detailed, and we should have questioned it at the time, but we didn't. I pulled out of 220 what I thought was the most desirable ones, and I'm requesting the city administrator find the format that these things are on, work it together, get his ideas, put his input into it, take our input tonight, and bring back a new set of objectives for the next either work session and or regular meeting for us to review and approve. My thought is the sooner we get started on this, the sooner we start moving down the road. Any questions so far? And there's two sides of this. One is the strategic plan that had the blocked out items, and then I added a little summary thing on the back of it. So I'm going to go through each one at a time, and when I get finished, I'll ask see if the counselors have anything that they want to add or anything like that. The first one was public health, and the objective was water and sewer to maintain or exceed federal and state water and sewer regulatory requirements and standards. And 1.1 was public works to meet and exceed sewer discharge permit requirements. We discharge our recycled whatever water, cleaned up wastewater back out into the lake, and we have to keep it at a clean standard because it's piped down right below almost to the dam. It goes straight out of that, goes down the river to Springfield. So we want to make sure that we're sending good water out. And I know it's tested, and the public works, they allow people to say, okay, it's now cleaned of all bugs. If you want to drink some, you can. It's healthy, but it's gray. So I have never done it. Public works to meet or exceed water quality requirements. That's 1.2. 1.3, public works to submit annual water report to the city council and residents. And that usually goes out in our water bill also once a year. I wanted to add on that 1.4, consider the need to update the water master plan, including GIS of all water system infrastructure. And 1.5, consider the need to update the sewer master plan, including GIS of all system infrastructure. And that was, you can work with Mr. Baker on that to see where we are on that and what needs to be done, and if that should be listed as objectives. Anything from anybody else? Hearing any, we're going on to 2.0, financial management. Budget development, develop a balanced budget and sustainable revenues to support general operations and plan capital improvements. 2.1 remains the same, submit a proposed budget. 2.2, this has been in there for, I guess, since 2016. So, and when we've never done it, city administrator shall submit a report to the city council on the progress made toward the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation and Award Program by December 31st. That there, I don't know if you want to remove it, if you want to leave it in there, whatever. We've never done it, so I don't know. I know we had a completely clean audit. I know we have a good auditing system, but I don't know if this is something of importance to you to.
That's a good goal to work towards. I've prepared budgets that have received that award. The GFOA has changed their criteria to make it a whole lot stricter. If that's something that we're interested in, it might take us about 2 years to get to that point. But I think there's some opportunity to beef up our budget communications that we can work on without necessarily achieving that award.
Like I say, we've never even applied for it, and it's something that's just been on there each time. It's something we want to do in the future, and you're one person, and I don't want to give you something to say. I don't want to give you an objective that you say, it's 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. It'd be nice to do. If it's not going to really benefit us in any way, I don't see I personally don't see. You can make the decision whether you want to leave it on there and bring it back or not. I don't see the reason for it.
What does it do for us? What does that award do for us? The benefits.
I can speak to that, Mr. Mayor. It's just an an attestation that an independent panel of reviewers has reviewed your document and determined that it meets a set of strict criteria, that you have a very high quality budget document. So that's what you get out of achieving that award.
Well, I guess I would suggest that, you know, that probably would be nice, and something to work on. However, maybe, you know, I guess, Jeremy, I'm just thinking you're gonna have a huge curve this year, just getting your feet under you in the city. So I guess all I would say is it would probably be a good goal, but I wouldn't want to put the pressure on that when there's a whole lot of other things probably that would take priority, is all I'm thinking. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but
It
Yeah,
just
to me-
doesn't sound like part of a strategy. You know,
Does
it
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 offer-
sounds like a good goal to have. It sounds like a nice thing, but it doesn't really sound like if I'm trying to figure out a strategy for success for Lowell, I don't really think that's part of that game plan. I think that, you know, our audit by the, you know, the accountants and our clean slate, you know, says just about as much as that. And it's a nice thing to get, but do we really need to have it in here?
Does it assist with any funding options for grants or anything by having that status?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay.
so I guess I could see where it would be a really good thing for the community to see, you know, in terms of, you know, how it would just beef up the status of our budget even more. But again, probably not the top priority. Nice to have kind of thing.
So I have a question. I mean, do we submit for this GFAO award or GFOA award regardless of whether it's in here? I mean, is this something that every city does, and it's going to happen whether we get a report from you about the progress towards that and everything else? I mean, is it going to happen anyway?
No, sir. It's only if you're interested in applying, then you submit an application. It's a voluntary program.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is do we need to have it in our strategic plan to submit our budget for that award? And do we need to hear anything about it unless we actually get it? Because I agree with Gail that anything like that would look good to the citizens of Lowell, that we're doing the best we can with our money. And I think that's always, you know, I think that's the win here, not even really the award itself, but
Yeah.
the trust that it builds within the city.
But not absolutely. We have other ways to communicate that too. So I'm just saying, it's just, yeah, do we really want it as an objective necessarily? That's a good question. So we can leave it there, and Jeremy, just know that we're not looking at you to, you know, push that thing out right away. That's certainly not a top priority at this point.
I think a clean budget means more to the people than saying that we got a GFOA recognition. So if you want to leave it on there, you can. If you want to take it off, you can. I completely, I don't know what it is. I don't know how, I don't see it benefiting us. I don't see any money in their pocket. And I see it taking his time up to prepare and get ready for it. And I want him to be used and focusing on Lowell, not some award somewhere. So you make the decision on how you want to go forward on this.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll think about this and come back to the council with some recommended changes.
Okay. Okay. 2.3, submit a narrative, the budget that explains program services goals for each department. And also in the last one, we had a consider a communications ordinance for use of public right of way. I know whenever we said you start doing franchise agreements and contracts and stuff like that, I know they take years and years to do. So I don't even know. I put that down on there because it was on 2020, but in hindsight, after I wrote it down, after it was published, I got to looking at it and going, I don't know if that's even needed, because whenever, I'm not sure what it's for. If you understand it, the direction he was going, but like I say, when we do franchise agreements, they take a year or 2 years to do, and they include this, but I think there was some part, we was looking at in-house right away for billing our sewer and water funds and things like that. So if you understand what this is, if you want to take this on as a challenge, it's an ordinance, but I don't, after writing it down, I don't see the importance in it, I have to admit. Okay. On number 3, public safety, effective policing, continue to improve public service by enhancing communication, crime reporting, and providing education. Last year we had on there, we're going to try to get a half-time public service or community service officer, and that was contingent on the school district paying half the salary. The school district didn't want guns on or near campus, so they didn't want to participate in this. I don't see us as really having the funding. So what I put on there is that we change or remove 3.1 and change it to coordinate with the Oakland PD to improve patrols and code enforcement. And 3.2, purchase additional radar signs and place the signs, I had from Finger, Pioneer, whatever, but as needed. It's not, I don't necessarily think they have to be, but main thing, improve the patrols and improve radar signs. Anybody else have anything on policing patrols they'd like to add? Okay. Okay. Next up is development. Facilities and infrastructure. Plan and develop new facilities and infrastructure to meet current and long-range needs. Have a 5-year capital improvement plan, and that's usually submitted with the budget. Report to the city council on grants available for the capital improvement plan. And 3, city council shall consider recommendations of the community facilities study. I had on there a question mark whether we replace it or not, but I think we need to leave that one on there. That had to do with both the library and city hall. That's the overall plan for the library and city hall. The library, we want to work on sooner. City hall could be in our future, but we want to maintain the possibility of going forward on actually having a city hall. Then I added a second one is seek funding to, as another objective, it should be 4.4, seek funding to complete renovation of the Maggie Osgood library. And that's a big thing. That's, put a star by that one. But everybody in the town wants to see this building completed and the doors open, books in here. So, anything else on facilities?
Should we be looking at getting the ball rolling on some kind of a statement regarding furthering the planning or funding or design? We've gone a little ways down the road for the new city hall.
Oh, that's in the facilities plan. It already shows out all the things that we want to do, but as for funding, I think it was like $1.5 million for the new city hall. And so we're going to have to get our feet under ourselves. We're looking at possibly selling some property over there on Highland to help fund some of that. The property down on in the corner or in that little triangular lot that we just bought, help fund some of that. But I think in talking with Jared, he was looking at the city hall being several years out before we would get started on that. We thought this library would be 6 months away when we first started on it, and shoot, it's seemingly 2 years now. So, but I do agree that we need to have a focus that we will have a city hall and we will have a library sometime.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I don't know if this is appropriate time to say this because it's more of an info item.
Okay, go ahead.
But I've been having a lot more communication with the Ford Foundation lately, which I think is a really good sign. Even as of today, one of the folks there asked me to review the budget, make sure everything looked like it was in the right place. We made some adjustments, so I don't know, I'm trying not to be too excited, but I'm feeling pretty optimistic that we're getting close to a decision from them, and looking more and more like a positive decision.
Good.
So I just
Good.
wanted to
Good.
pass that along.
Good, thank you.
Mm.
That's all. Leave it on a high note.
I would have loved to have seen it, happen, but if it happens in the next month, that's awesome.
But like I say, for a city administrator, the library is very important.
Mhm.
Right, public?
I think it's one of the top priorities.
There you go.
That's what I told you, Megan.
The public has spoken.
Yeah, the citizens are anxious to get this
Mhm.
thing going,
Mhm.
and because the prior library it was utilized quite a bit.
Mhm.
That's what they want.
Okay. Thank you, public. Next up is economic vitality. Is that community development, create a welcoming business environment, and assist with the development, retention, and relocation efforts. Economic development shall review grant opportunities. Number 2, has reviewed the system development charges. And for your information, the system development charges was mentioned by our city auditor during the audit review, where we were cleaning everything else. He said he would be looking strongly at our system development charges and how we're charging and everything this next time around. I think that we're actually in a very good position for that. Last time we went through with the League of Oregon Cities, and they helped us with our system development charges. Before we had all of our monies from our system development charges in one lump sum. And we went back and went back and took all the deposits, all the monies that came in, all the interest over the years and divided them up. So we feel comfortable that our money's in the right place, but each year they have to be at the SDCs for all the different parks where all this, water and everything are adjusted up and down. So that's something that somewhere in the probably spring sometime going into next year, whatever time, I don't know what the timetable is on doing those, but check on that and see. That's something that, like I say, we worked with League of Oregon Cities the last time around. Before we used to work with Portland State University, but they fell out of it, and then we went to using Seattle numbers, and so I think we may well still be using Seattle numbers, but the Oregon League of Cities helped us on that last time around. So let's see, 4 recommendations for small organizational assistance report completed by Rural Development Initiatives. You can check and see what that is. I don't even. Next one is this. I have here 5-4 assist Oregon Rain with outreach to entrepreneurs and provide a report of events to the city council. In the past, we've given them. We've paid part of the payment of the individual in there. I think it's like $5,000 we paid or something like that. And so I think Oregon Rain's going to come by and visit with you, but we're tied, I think, with Bonita and Oak Ridge on that as providing funding. There's 2 or 3 cities that provide funding to keep that going, and they split their time between the different ones. So I'll let you look into that. And the next one is update downtown zoning and development regulations to reflect the goals and the policies adopted by the downtown master plan. And that's kind of what we're doing with the TGM plan, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're already doing that with the TGM plan. So that just, that will dovetail into that. So that's already ongoing. Anything else by anybody? Okay, next one is fiscal integrity. Maintain financial records are accurate, dependable. Divide monthly and quarterly financial reports. And there is a quarterly financial report is different than the monthly ones. That has a few extra things about sick time, leave, some other things like that. You can look on that, and it's in the financial management catalog. So, 4 times a year you bring that thing out. You can also look back at some prior packets and see what was, what they look like and what goes into them. Maintain an operating fund of 17% in each of the funds. that's 2 months worth of bills. Submitted annual financial report to the Oregon Secretary of State, and ours went in late November, early December, the first time we've been in the proper year ever that I know of, and that was good. Zero defects. Yeah. Plan to resolve all audit deficiencies and engage the city auditor. Request a revision of the contract. I think, are we up for a new or a new contract with him, or I don't know. I think I don't know. You want to check and see our contract with the city auditor. He was talking about next year already, so I take it that he's still we must have a contract for him. Anything else under financial? Anybody want to add? Okay. Next up is public safety, emergency preparedness, development, and update emergency preparedness plans. And what we had last year was the city administrator worked with Lane County Emergency Management to develop and adopt a hazard mitigation plan. The last I know, the county wasn't even working on a plan. They kept getting pushed out and everything like that. And a lot, their hazard mitigation has to do with the railroad over there, carrying those oil cars and stuff like that, stuff coming into the lake. And so I think that was kind of their main focus. As for what this hazard mitigation plan, I think it's quite almost too large to take on. And what I was considering was coordinate with Lowell Fire Department and Lowell School District to develop a local emergency response plan. And I think we had the snow disaster a few years ago, and the fire department, I think the fire department may well be working on an emergency plan now, and have yourself get together and the superintendent and see what they can do. In years when we had the snow thing, we had the school bringing food over to the fire station. We had the city hall staying open with emergency generators down at the water plant, and they stayed on Facebook and they updated, and so that people could see every few hours. In fact, they slept down there because it was a warm building and home was cold, and so they stayed down there, and they kept Facebook updated all through the nights and everything. So people they still had their cell phone service, but they didn't have power or heat or anything like that. So like I say, I think we need to have a home emergency plan. And Lon Drawn, I think, is a great person to for you to get together with and help him help drive this thing. He's very, very good at what he does. So that would be my thought. Anybody else want to add to the emergency plan? Okay. Next up is preventive maintenance. Like I say, we want to increase the life cycles of our equipment, do a quarterly maintenance inspection, and a financial maintenance report at the end of the year. Okay. Anything else? Next up is quality of life, parks and recreation. That's 9. Oversee the coordination and repair of the irrigation system on Paul Fisher Park. That's something that's they put in so you know, they put in an irrigation system 20 years ago, plus even, and they got it all in. They put all the sprinkler heads. They got the rain birds, so everything is the whole system was in. Then they never put water to it. Then they came through and they put a building over here and a building over there, and they cut the lines here, cut the lines there. So 2 or 3 years ago, we went out, took a fire hydrant, hooked it up to the lines, fired up these things, and so these little rain birds had been underground for almost 20 years. They started popping up, and then all of a sudden you had big puddles over there where they'd cut the lines. And so then I guess what we've determined is it's easier to put a brand new field of lines in than it is to try to patch and everything else. So you can get with Public Works on that and see what we're doing there. But we want to get the grass green over there, don't we? Okay.
Yes,
Okay. So,
as green as my front yard.
yeah. Ooh, yeah. That's where the water's been going. But no, it's and you'll notice here it's kind of like Colorado. We don't get any rain in the summertime. So all the parks and everything, they turn brown. And so the kids like to play on the grass, but they're all brown. Rolling Rock and Brown. And so if we can light those things up so that we can use some city water to water them, that's the direction we want to go. I think there's money in fire budgets headed towards this way. I don't know what if we got enough to do the whole system or not, but you can look at the budget, get with Max on that, and see what needs to be done. Monthly inspections. Then we have here submitted grant application to the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department to enhance and make significant lighting, landscaping, and parking improvements to the Rolling Rock Park. We bought extra land. We did a lot of work over there. We tore building down. We burned a building, I guess you could say. We got all ready. And then we tried to go out and get like $750,000 to improve our park. That wasn't available, but we said, well, we've already spent, we had matching funds plus. Then we went back and said, well, how about if we ask for less? We asked for less, and you can probably find the paperwork on this. We didn't get any money on that. So the last thing we was looking at was trying to put in at the very minimum trees around it at the right elevation, so that when we came in and did all the other work, these trees would be big enough to be getting big enough that they could go ahead and grow and look right. So we don't want to go plant trees down here and come in 2 or 3 years later and raise the ground level up here and it looked all out of whack. So that's something you can also get with the Parks Committee, look at the plan for the rec plan, Parks and Rec plan for that thing. But it was quite impressive and aggressive what they wanted to do and dress it up. So let's see. On community development, I think I'm looking at it. Oh, no, I'm 7 finished up. I flipped the page before I got there. On Parks and Recreation, I also suggested we added a objective supported an annual water sports event to introduce youth and adults to kayaking, paddleboarding, rowing, and showcase Dexter Lake. 2 years ago, we had a water something or other.
A regatta?
No, not the regatta, but we had a local chaos vendor company with kayaks and stuff like that. They normally go to
Ridge.
where's it?
Yeah, wasn't she from Oak Ridge?
Well, they used to go to the one over Fern.
Fern Ridge.
Yeah, they used to go over there, but and I guess they got an okay turnout. But they came here. It was on a nice day. We didn't have green algae going. We didn't have anything going. It was a nice sunny day. They brought out like 40 boats, and they had all of them, 40 boats, boards, and everything else. They had everything going in the water. They wanted to come back. COVID came up, but I think and since then, there's been a tremendous increase in the number of people using our lake. But I use it quite a bit. I can see the people out there. There's a whole lot more people using it, and it's something to show. And what they did is they went down to the marina, which is state-owned, and they went out there, set up, and they had people going out on boards, and they had them all in the signing off in the vest and everything. So it really was a good event. If we can, I know there's people that know the name of the company that's doing it, but it's a local company in Eugene that's what they do. The paddleboard something, paddle sports something or other, but check with Joyce or somebody and they can give you the name of that. But I think that's a good objective to get those people back out here as COVID ends, because I think everybody in the world is going to be wanting to get on the lakes and do something. And if they can get the right equipment, and because they sold a lot of stuff that day and they were looking to come back to it. 9.6, continue to provide financial support for the Lowell School District Summer Recreation Program. In the past, we've given them $2,000. What they do is it's a 10-week program, and they do anything from cooking, frisbee, fishing, take them swimming to in town. They're all over the place. Golf. The kids out here. When I first came here, the kids in the summertime they sat on the curb and they watched the cars go by. There was 3 months of that, and now they have this program where they feed them 3 times a day, all year round. and they put these kids on buses. They average about 50 kids, and they put them on there, and they take them hither and yon and do all. It's a really great program, but COVID shut it down. They take 2 or 3 college students that's rec majors or PE majors, and they hook them up with the kids, and they do all kinds of exciting stuff. But it's something good. And in the past, like I say, we need to make sure we put in the budgets $2,000 that we usually give to them. And the other is to continue to support the Dector's Farmers Market, and usually, and that's been in there. And that's usually $1,000 for a sign or whatever they need. But they moved over here to this side of the lake, and they've got a big sign out on the highway there, and they sell produce and things like that during the summertime, and it's a good thing. So, anything on Parks and Recs that anybody wants to bring up?
I don't know if Jeremy's got awareness of the Blackberry Jam, which was also held up this year, but you know, we have an annual celebration called the Blackberry Jam community event within the Rolling Rock Park. It's kind of a big thing. I think as a city administrator, you need to have awareness. That's kind of a big deal for our community overall. It's a over the weekend thing that happens usually last weekend in July. Shifts around a little bit, but that's generally around the time.
And that's going to be a tough one because we want to get geared up for it, but with the way the slow rollout of vaccines are coming, it's going to be a challenge. So we may well have it. We may have to slide it, but like you said, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 people, they come out there and they're milling around. They're playing horseshoes. They have rides, or not rides, but they have booths and stuff like that. And it's called the Jam, not because of jelly. It's called the Jam because of the music. They have bands come in on Friday night, 2 bands early, late, and then Saturday they start about 4 and they go 2 hours at a shot, going to 10 o'clock. And when you get to the 8 and 10 o'clock, you've got the primary bands. And then on Sunday, they have a service in the morning, and then they have a musician or whatever, and then another band or something coming in there. Then it ends about 4. And we do a bunch of raffling and things like that, pie eating contests. It's country, so it's true country, but it's a big thing, and it's free. People come, and but it takes 20 plus volunteers to pull it off. So it's not something that that we do on a whim. So we may look at that and see who we past president of that committee was, and seeing how we're going to go forward, or if we have a plan, or we need to either have it, delay it to later in the summer, something like that, or cancel it. So that's not a decision to be made now, but we need to be looking, because it was the same weekend as the county fair, which the people didn't want to pay for go be at the county fair or be around that many people. They like to come here. We had a great turnout. We always did. Okay. Thank you. Anything else on parks? Okay, planning and zoning. On that one, let's go back to here. Planning and zoning. On number 2, under St. Vincent de Paul, I think that's finished. They've got all of their lots except for one sold, and I think the Andy Clay, who runs that project, I think wants to buy the last lot, and so I think 10.2 could be taken out. I don't think we're not doing anything on it, so there's no need to hold it as an objective. 11, citizen engagement. I don't see any changes there. 12, beautification. One thing that we do is in the past we had before we had as good a public works, we would have the community turn out and they would do the flower beds. They'd put new ADA bark in the swings in that area, and do a lot of stuff like that. But we've got such a good proficient park or public works. I'm not sure what we want to do or what needs to be done. So I get with Max on that to see what we want to do. COVID has interrupted everything. We had, I don't know, 20, 25 people would turn out. Seemed like they'd have hot dogs, hamburgers, and everything afterwards. drinks, and everybody would party, have a nice time. Work from like 9 to 12, and then have food, and then go home, and everything to look better. The other thing with in the springtime, they would have Santa Pack would have them bring out some big dumpsters, and people could throw their dishwasher, mattresses, lawn chairs, whatever they didn't want into that. It was one way of kind of a town beautification, and we had a trailer that we would go around and let people throw stuff on it and bring it over here, and we'd throw it in the dumpster for them. So, and if they were old people, handicaps, whatever, if they called, then our guys would go out and pick it up and throw it in a truck, or we'd get some volunteers that would want to do it. So that was something that, like I say, that Public Works will be more the one to work on that. But with COVID, if we didn't do it last year. We may not do it again this year. So, but it's something in the future. We'd still have the green waste where we allow people to dump their limbs and stuff like that down by the wastewater plant, and once a month it's open, so they can go in there. In fact, it was open last Saturday. No, it was last Saturday of this month. Last Saturday, last Saturday was New Year's Eve or whatever, so it wasn't open. And then with the Parks and Recs, they have a yard of the month that we start doing, and we put signs in their yards and recognizing people with nice improved yards. It's nominated by the Parks Committee and submitted to the council, and then we put a sign out there for a month. We recognize them, put the picture in the paper and stuff like that. And we've got we have some yards right now that are very plain looking, but are so much better than what they were a year, 2 years ago, that I'd almost recommend that's a nice yard now. We don't hear about certain yards at our meetings, so we're very proud that certain yards have been improved as much as they have. So, but it's helped along with code enforcement. We're really proud of how we're starting to look here. Okay. Under responsive government, 3.2, City Council established a charter review committee to meet every 3 years to review and discuss potential changes to the Lowell Charter. I don't know that there's a need for that. You can read the charter if you see things in it. The main thing about a charter is it's got to go before the electorate. So it's put on the ballot. We want to make a charter change, and we did one for appointing and having council people, and then followed by being an election following that. We wrote it, and some people said, well, you wrote it incorrectly. So I really hesitant about getting too much more involved with the charter. It's easier to make ordinance changes and stuff like that than it is a full charter change. You know, this thing was written 20, 30, 40 years ago, and or longer, and it seems to be fairly basic, and it's not a lot of detail, and it tends to work. So I'm not even sure that 13.2 is that necessary. You can look at it and see if you something you want to bring forward and do as of your review process. Anything, anybody? Next up, professional development. I'm looking here, I see 14.2, submit an annual, submit a department training program. I'm not interested. If you have a training program, I think that's wonderful. I think as long as you know what it is, and I think as long as you and your staff knows what it is, I think that's wonderful. I think you should have one, but I don't see the need for bringing that before the council to say, here, council, here's our training program. You know, we're going to have a water guy. He's going to go test water this time. I really don't. So as for to know that you do have a training program is the only thing that's and usually Max has the people involved with getting higher and higher levels, or going through courses, taking courses, and I think that should be between you and the department heads. I don't think that's something that needs to come back to the council. And 14.3, I think we did that last year. I don't know if that's something that needs to be done every year for a salary review, but I'm pretty sure that was done last year. We may have been 2019. And the only thing I would say that we may want to look at is a city employee handbook. I think that that's quite old and probably needs to be updated for review. So 14.4 I have on there as an add item. So look at the employee handbook. That would be something that we want to bring back to current. Okay. Next is training and development on 15.1. List of training objectives to the city council on the topics of communication, conflict resolution, teamwork, mediation, and ethics. I think as needed. I don't think that that's something that you need to set up programs for us on that. You can leave on there and have that on there and just add as needed. It's fine. I don't think it's something that we're going to be expecting, holding you to, or wanting to do. The other review the city council rules and present a draft to the city council. I don't even know what those are. You can look at that and see if they even exist, you know. And the other is develop a draft of a council orientation handbook. And that might be good for a new person coming in, just some basics, you know. And that could even be, that might even be in a resolution or something like that, or some sort of pamphlet that you can hand out and say, as a new counselor, you know, well, this is what happens. This is a procedural step. A lot of towns have them and stuff like that. So I think you can look at some other towns and see what they do for council orientation handbooks and things like that. But I wouldn't spend a lot of time on developing a brand new one. That wheel's already been invented. So, you know, take and use what somebody else has already put together. Okay. Any questions on all those, Mr. Cottle?
No questions at this time.
Okay.
I imagine we'll have some more in-depth one-on-one discussions.
Yeah. As you put this together and look at it and put together the individual items under each objective and thing like that, as you, like I say, work with the other members of the staff and everything like that. And you can email us and let us know and get our input on it. Like I say, I want to make sure that what you're doing is what needs to be done. And also I want you to add to this what you know needs to be done to carry us forward. We're like fish in a fish bowl. We can see inside the bowl real well, you know, but we need somebody to come look from outside the bowl in and tell us what's on the outside, how to get out of this bowl, you know. So we want you to, we want your expertise to use, you know. And if you just look at ours and just go with ours, you may be handicapping yourself. So come back to us with what you think is the best plan. Okay, finished with that. Mr. Stratus, you want to continue on your talk about the Christmas decorations and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is just the beginning of some planning for this. I don't think that it's something that, you know, is going to materialize instantly. I think it's going to take some involvement from a lot of entities and a lot of people to get this going. I mean, there's, you know, it's one thing to have an idea of, you know, we want to have our city look more festive or decorative. And then there's a lot of things that are going to have to go into play to make this functional and safe and manage risk for the city, efficiency, and a lot of other things, you know, balancing and stuff. I just think that I'm in agreement with, you know, some of the members of the community that it's wonderful what we do with the bridge lighting ceremony every year. It's an incredible thing. I'm sorry to say that it seems like some people in the community maybe didn't don't remember that or have knowledge of it as much. And they kind of, some people voice the opinion they felt the city was, being a little less than festive. And I can see that if you didn't make it to the bridge lighting ceremony, or you don't understand that maybe that even that is connected to the city as much as it is. But within the city limits of Lowell, I feel that we could do possibly a little better job of some decorating, either as a city or figuring out a way to let the community be involved in this, and growing a sense of morale and belonging and festivities to the citizens of Lowell and people that come through here, people that travel through and stuff. And some comparisons were done on the social media site that they were discussing it on, and that, look at the city of Cresswell, how wonderful that is. And there's a difference. I mean, we're not Cresswell, we don't have the tax base that they do. And I think there's a big difference between downtown Lowell and downtown Cresswell right now. I mean, just in terms of I think people miss the point that, you got to have a plug-in to run light. So there's infrastructure that hasn't maybe been developed fully to do these kind of things. There's, historically, like I said it earlier in the meeting, we did have some stuff that went up on the posts as you headed down Moss Street. Every post has, a stanchion in it that supported some festive, holiday decorations and stuff. But I'm guessing those have all aged out, and that's why we haven't done that for a few years. That they just kind of got wore out. Those have been there since I was a kid, so they're pretty old. But there really is no reason why we couldn't get the ball rolling on furthering this, and it can grow as it goes, and as participation and funding and volunteerism and involvement allows. I think at this point here, I think getting this assigned to a committee to start working with it and looking for people to further this cause. Some of the people that were expressing these opinions expressed that they would be happy to do that. Getting the message out that, maybe we're looking at doing some investigation and getting the ball rolling on this might be a good idea. Maybe a notice in the bridge and a discussion with the Parks and Rec Committee, a discussion with the city staff and the city administrator about, the amount of involvement. I mean, there's a lot that needs to get done to get to there. We are, we're at the beginning of January 2021. We've got 11 months to get there. And I don't see any reason why we couldn't do something that would be, good for next year, that would, make the community feel better about how we are viewed and how they perceive it happening. I think there was some people that didn't understand that there is risk involved in just haphazardly setting a Christmas tree up on the stage at the Lowell Park. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen a video of a Christmas tree going up in a fire, but they go up pretty bad. You with the vandalism that we experienced at the train in Rolling Rock Park recently, and the park vandalism that's occurred in the restrooms there, there is some real reality to, there is risk involved in doing something like this. I mean, you're plugging an electrical cord into something, there was no electricity there. You're exposing shock hazards to park goers. There's a possibility of people utilizing our power if we just turn on every outlet in the park on the stage, that next thing you know, everybody in the world's charging their phone and hanging out over there overnight playing their karaoke machine. I don't know, but there is a lot of logistics involved, but it was quite a significant number of people that were, engaging in this discussion. And I think that, we need to recognize that desire within the community and work with it the best we can with the constraints that we have.
Anybody else?
Gail.
Gail, go ahead.
Maybe we could approach the Parks and Recreation and set up a committee through them, a special committee, and, have, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 people that would, start researching it and put some ideas together and figure out costs, and then, we could work with them. Somehow, get a group together to do that. You're on mute, Tim.
That better?
Yeah,
I don't even know if we have to constrain this. This could be something that we don't necessarily need to look at it as the holidays through the month of December. I mean, I've been in a lot of communities when I was in the Air Force to where, they went and decorated the park up at the 4th of July for a lot of other holidays. It doesn't have to be just this. I mean, I personally think that it was just an eye catcher during that time of year. But I think to enhance community spirit and livelihood, and also to up the game of the park that we're building down at Rolling Rock, the more we can get people to buy into that, the more involvement we'll get, and the more, satisfaction for the community that we spent our money well there, and the more the park will get used. I mean, if we set it up to where people feel at home to go down and have a 4th of July barbecue down there because we put red, white, and blue ribbons up throughout the park on our gazebos and stuff and on the stage, and maybe engage a band to come there. I mean, it doesn't have to just be a Christmas decorating thing. I feel like we could get into this for multiple holidays to where it would really buy into that downtown development and community involvement with the park.
I
well,
think-
yeah, you could have a committee, and then, they could start with Christmas and then, expand or something like that. But yeah, no, that's a great idea. Sorry, did I interrupt you, Sam?
That's okay. 2020 affected the morale of the world, and not just Lowell, but it pulled us apart in our regular predictable coming together period. So the Blackberry Jam, the movies in the park, school events. I mean, everything. We were all little islands in this little town, and I think there was a lot of hope that Christmas would, or that whole holiday season would be kind of bring us into 2021 when the world was going to be perfect again. And obviously, reality was not there. But I think, yes, doing something that in small ways just shows a community spirit and again, brings the park into, the focus that it's where we want to showcase the community, the park and the library and the different places where community
Well, it's
is
kind of downtown.
Yeah. But, if it's a visual thing, at least they're, participating at least that much. But yeah, I agree. This should something we should look into process.
Anybody else? Okay. I agree with the group, okay? And I think that, I don't think we should wait till Christmas. If we don't do the Blackberry Jam, I think we should have a lot of flags and things like that in the park for the 4th of July. And just for the city administrator, there's a transit room tax that we get from the county as its motel fees. We don't have motel, but everybody else puts into it. And usually it's about $10,000 a year that we get. That's money that's supposed to be spent to improve people visiting your location. Okay. And I think we can feel righteous in taking money out of that. We can buy more banners to put on the telephone poles. We can put flags in the park and things like that. I think that, and if we can get volunteers and things, they'll put it up. But as we come out from under COVID, I do agree there needs to be some positive things the city's doing. And as we get to the Christmas season, you get in trouble with the religious aspect of it. But I think what we can do is, I know that such things, there's like that greased pole that we use for the pole climb that's just laying there doing nothing. We can stick that thing in the ground, put a whole bunch of lights straight down to it, so it looks like a tree, a big old tree at night. We can stick that out there in the park and light that thing up. We can put several things in the park that makes it look festive, and to help support what's going on. We can we can find a hole that's close to an outlet so we can power that thing. And but I agree. I think that this either a combination, this needs to go back to the Park and Rec Committee for them to look at and come back to us. I think there's money to do what we want to do, that we can do things to improve the city. And if it looks like that we're if we're feeling good about this, the community is going to feel good about it. It's going to have to be something that's driven by the city. Whenever you start having individual groups, individual people putting up things, then you're going to have individual people and groups that you may not want putting things up. But if the city's controlling it and we're having the community say, this is what we want, city, and the city goes out and buys it and puts it up, I think that's the direction we should be going on that. Thoughts?
Hey, you might want to talk to the guy that made the grease pole before you put a bunch of Christmas lights up on it, bud.
Tim, I was waiting for your comment.
Just on the top. Just use the top of it.
Yeah, the base actually doesn't have an outlet near it. I was thinking more like the street lights. I think every other one might have some outlets, and we have the possibility of putting some more outlets in the bottom of those. That the street lighting poles going through there might be a good option. Things like that. But I mean, any ideas are up for. And I'm joking.
If we don't use a grease pole, I think that we can buy a pole, whatever, stick it out in the ground there, and put lights off of it. I see a lot of towns doing that. And I think it looks attractive to me at night. In daytime, it may not look like a tree or anything, but at nighttime when people come through, it looks good. So it's something that between the city administrator and the Parks and Rec Committee, I think that they can should be able to come up for some things. I'd like to say, we've got money. We're not spending any money on the room tax. It's just accumulating. So there's room, there's money there to be spent to make the place better. So. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you say, get the park committee together and all that, but we haven't had a meeting in months.
Yeah,
So how you gonna work that?
we're going to gather together.
I nominate Paul to get the Parks and Recreation Committee together.
No, you know, as we're coming out of this, we're still going to be January, February, March. It's still going to be bad, but that still gives us, we can still, city administrator can start thinking about some ideas in other towns and things that he's been to, seen, and things that we can do to start putting together. And he can send an email out to the Parks Committee. And if you, like I say, and put something in the bridge saying that we're looking at doing more festive decorations for, and you can pick the events, 4th of July, you know, Christmas and things like that, and try to get the resident input and things like that, what they'd like to see, things like that. And we can start the ball rolling without ever meeting. We can get some ideas put together, and then you can, there's a the main committee of the Parks and Rec, we can give that to them, and those people can start looking at the ideas, and then get the rest of their membership involved, what they want to do, how they want to do it. And so the ball can start rolling slowly on this, but like I say, I think there's money. I really do. Under the transit room tax, that we get money there. We get like 10,000 a year. I don't think we spent hardly anything on it this year, but we didn't do anything. So because the school, usually we give the school 2,000. They didn't do anything. We give the I think we give the what do you call it? The weekend gardeners, what do you call that? Farmers market. We give them 1,000. I think if we gave that out, I think that'd be the only thing we gave out this year. I don't think we gave out anything else in it. And also, you know, it can be used for other things, businesses, whatever. You know, if a business wants to do Christmas decorations or something like that, we might be able to support the businesses even at that, if they wanted to do something to make it more festive for the 4th of July, for Christmas, things like that. So I don't know. I'll throw that back to you. Okay. Okay. Any questions by anybody else? Any thoughts? Right.
I'd like to say, I think besides just the bridge, we should go back to social media and do a representation. I think it also offers an opportunity to engage new people in the community to be involved in our Parks and Rec Committee and bring some new energy into that. If that's their focus, that's fine. But if it brings them along, they may get involved in some other things, and it's another hook to get people involved in those committees, which is a need.
Yeah, we need to start gearing those back up, whether we do Zoom meetings with them or make them sit around a big campfire or whatever. But we, you know, it's so easy to lose volunteers that it's we want to start gearing back up to get them back into thinking about what they're doing. So, you're right. Anything else by anybody? Not hearing anything. We're adjourned at 8:46. Yeehaw. Okay. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
City
Gail, you
Council-
look so happy.
What?
You look so happy now.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
have to
happy.
get up at 4:30 in the
Like
morning.
a weight's been lifted off your shoulders.